This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Today, our special guest is Brandon Coleman. I got my co-host with me, Aaron Burrell. Aaron, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Brandon, appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate it, fellas. Thanks for having me.
No doubt. Brandon, we just want to kind of hop into, your career first with some, we'll start at college. I know you went to Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
You got recruited. I was looking at the timing of when you got recruited to Rutgers. You got there with Shiano, and then he left. What was that, your sophomore year?
Yes. Yeah,
So
that was an interesting time. Shiano came, recruited me. He was on, came to my parents' house. He was on the couch and gave us that whole pitch, that he was going to stay the tenure of his career, finish out at Rutgers like a Joe Paterno almost, right? And, just like everybody else, I believed him. And I committed to Rutgers, not obviously just for him, right? It was other reasons, education, networking, location. Those all played a role in it. But then I'll never forget that moment when, we all found out from ESPN that he was leaving. And then it was just like, wow, like this is a business, right? And that was like my first introduction to business at a collegiate level.
No, that's definitely an interesting way to find out via ESPN. But what was the rest of your career like at Rutgers? Did you enjoy your time? I know you're a Maryland guy. Being in New Jersey, you're not too far from home. So
yeah. So rest of the experience was cool, man. We had a new coach that was already in the program, Coach Kyle Flood. He came up and it kind of took over as that player's coaching role. And for me, after that, I got injured, had a serious knee injury that kind of set me back. And I wasn't the same player since. And that kind of set me back in terms of like going to the NFL, my draft grade. And but I still had a chance, and I was grateful. But I left right before Rutgers decided to go and make another business decision and go to the Big Ten. And that would have been my red shirt senior year, that first season. And I made a business decision for myself and said, no, I'm not sticking around for that.
Yeah, for sure. So we know you went undrafted, but did that motivate you more to play in the NFL?
Yeah, I've always had that underdog mentality. So that kind of fell right along with my personal story. And I was like, this at the end of the day, this is going to make for a better story. I don't know how it's going to play out now, but I'm here for it. I'm continuing to bet on myself, and we're going to take that leap of faith.
For sure. We're big on betting on yourself around here. So
yeah,
we'll definitely get into some of the post-career stuff as well. But now you're in the league. What was it like when you're on the Saints? You're playing with Drew Brees. This is one of your all-time greats. What was that experience like for you?
That was a humbling experience to be able to be in the locker room, share a locker room with a future Hall of Famer, to catch a touchdown pass from a future Hall of Famer, right? And just to share that space with all the other, greats that I played with, like Mark Ingram. I'm grateful he's able to come back to New Orleans now and finish out, get that rushing title, right? Like, you got the new guys coming in like Alvin Kamara. I was able to play with him his rookie year, right? So that's like, those are, great experiences that you can't trade. I wouldn't trade for anything. The relationship that I got in the locker room, the experiences that I was able to have, getting able to play in London against the Dolphins, like that's an experience as well. And it was all of it, man. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. It was, a lot of lessons. It was good and bad, right? Because you got the business side, the political side of the game that, it's not really put on TV like that, right? It's not really talked about a lot, but someone like myself who was at the bottom of the totem pole for the most of his career, it was just kind of like, all right, I got to play this role, and in order for me to continue to have some longevity and a sustainable career.
Yeah, no, definitely. I remember I definitely picked you up on my fantasy team for a couple of weeks, though, for sure. I remember
I hope I didn't let you down. I hope I didn't let you down.
But yeah, just like going into another lane, like I know you're a mental health advocate. Why is mental health important to you?
Man, that's a great question. And for me, that's something that I didn't want to admit years ago. I was dealing with that as early as I can remember in college. I went through my first like drought where I couldn't catch a cold as a receiver. And like I remember um, the coaches, and they recommended me that I talk to a sports psychiatrist, and I immediately turned that down. I was, as a black man, I didn't allow myself to to fall into that because of the stigma that it was weak, right? If you go seek outside help to talk about your mental health, right? That wasn't that wasn't it wasn't cool either, right? And I didn't see people like, you have professional athletes now coming out and talking about it. So I didn't have the courage to do it back then. And so I bottled in a lot of that stuff, and then that carried over when I got into the league, being undrafted, the emotions of not being drafted, right? I remember I was really crying, for not being drafted. And I was like, and then I still had to make a decision like within an hour after that not being drafted to go to New Orleans, right? I didn't even get a chance to process. I didn't get a chance to sleep on it. I didn't none of that, right? So all that's like built up and backed up. And then dealing with injuries, right? And you really don't know how much of a toll that takes on your mental health until right it boils over, right? And so for me, that's like at the end of my career, it started to boil over, and I said, man, I think I really need to I need to go see a therapist, right? So I've been seeing a therapist for the last 2 years pretty much now, and that's been a game changer for me. All the stuff that I've been able to unpack and heal from my mental emotional trauma, right? You can heal from your physical injuries and ailments, all the surgeries that you've gone through, all the concussions that you dealt with, right, and playing a violent game like this. But you put your bodies on the line, you put your mind on the line. So I think being a mental health advocate for me is so important because I get a chance to use my platform to give that high school kid the confidence, right, to go out and have that courage because they now see someone, especially that might look like them, to be able to, all right, I want to seek help for myself.
It's powerful. What do you think people could do more of to protect their mental health? What advice would you give to young brothers or young sisters, whoever it may be?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really setting up boundaries for yourself, um, and what that looks like for you personally. Setting up um, a safe space of communication, in your circle that you can have open, transparent conversations, uncomfortable conversations about something that's, bothering you. Uh, and then I said boundaries, I said safe space, and then practice like routines, right? Like for me, I've incorporated mindfulness practices into my self-care to protect my mental health space. So that's a part of me on this journey right now that I'm a huge advocate for.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you're an entrepreneur. You have Soul Cole, and you're a wellness coach, certified breathing coach. So tell us a little bit about that and like what that all means.
Yeah. So once I retired, I realized that I was going to have to make a pivot, and that pivot first started off with toothpicks. I don't know, like the listeners who might just catch the audio, they might not see that I have a toothpick right now, but that's been my brand for at least 10 years now, over 10 years. And so I first, as an entrepreneur, got into CBD toothpick space. And from a holistic standpoint, holistic healing, all the surgeries that I went through, I wanted that holistic approach to my process instead of the medication, Vicodin, opioids, and going down that path. right? And so that opened my eyes more to the wellness side of things. And then I got into my own journey of, self-discovery and self-care, and led me to mindfulness practices like meditation, like breathing, exercises, like yoga. And from then I realized, wow, like I see the benefit that this is having for me on my personal journey, and making this transition, this huge transition at a time in my life where, I'm pretty much written off, by everybody else's standards. So I said, let me just focus on myself. Let me do the inner work that I need. And in doing that inner work, I realized that I have a purpose of helping and serving others. And so Soul Cole is the rebrand of myself. So I call it the rebranding. Obviously, not too many people can use that tag, only a select few Brandons if they choose to rebrand themselves, right? So for me, it was, it was something that spoke to me, mind, body, soul, mind, body, spirit. And I was already going by B Cole anyways. I just dropped the B and added the soul, and there we go. So it's an opportunity for me to serve others, and um, be a different, use this platform to be a different representation that a lot of people aren't used to in this wellness, health and wellness space.
Yeah, no, that's dope. Like, have you been like helping any other NFL players? Like, have they reached out to you and things like that, or any athletes in general?
Um, yeah, not in like in my personal circle, right? So
Yeah,
for me, doing it myself, other guys have kind of taken notice, like in my circle, and they kind of asked me like, "Yo, what's up with this meditation, right? What's this all about, right? Or this breathing, right? Kind of just talk me through it." And they're more receptive to hearing it from someone like me because we walk that same path,
yeah,
right? And it's easier for them to um, to be more receptive to this. Like I said, because you can go on YouTube or you can hear about it on Instagram, but if you don't resonate it, if it doesn't resonate with you, for whatever reason, then you're not going to be as open minded to it, right? So yeah, I've got some guys, who are definitely more interested in this because they see someone that, they can relate to, that was in the locker room with them on this journey.
yeah,
No doubt.
definitely.
Now I know you've had a long journey where you've come up through the system. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're in your second act. What
Yeah.
advice would you give to young athletes? This is a three-part question. What advice would you give them to, mentally? What advice would you give them, physically? And advice would you give them in terms of taking care of, like,
Yeah.
wellness advice? Would you
So
give
I
them?
think I can answer all three with one. The same advice was just be to set your boundaries, and set your expectations, realistic expectations, and continue to prioritize what matters most to you, right? I know, you know, the what gets all the glory is the physical aspect. Everybody wants to know how big you are. Everybody wants to know how fast you are. Everybody wants to know how strong you are, right? Can you lift the whole weight room? Can you, run 100 meters in 9 seconds, right? Like that's Olympic world time. So people want to know, people only give height and they give attention to that part. But I think the advice is to find balance, right? That's true wellness, is seeking balance in all these different areas, and we often want to compartmentalize these different parts of our lives and don't think they intertwine, but they really do, right? And so understanding how, like if you're in the weight room, right, and you're maxing out on your bench press, you mentally have to will yourself to get that weight off your chest. You can physically do it all, like you can only go so far physically, but your mind ends up telling your body that your body can do this. You're in the same way in reverse, your mind ends up telling your body that no, we can't do this today, and you end up not being able to do it, right? And so that ties back into your overall wellness, that it fluctuate your state of mind.
Yeah, not for sure. And then what are your goals for 2022?
Man, 2022, man, I'm feeling very excited about one goal in particular. I have a project that I'm working on. It's a meditation mixtape. It's like a EP, for example, and I'm in the process of writing and recording that right now, and I definitely want to release that in the top of 2022 and just put a little soul in it, right? You know, change up the stereotype of how meditation is like, oh man, like I can't really get with it. I can't really. This isn't for everybody, but you know, I think for me and my culture, right, we resonate a lot with music, and music speaks to our soul. And so I think I'm gonna just add a little flavor in there and put some magic. You know, I've been doing poetry a lot since the pandemic, and just turning that poetry into a guided meditation, man. So, and then I think, you know, another goal that I had is to um, lead more workshops, more breathing exercises, more live guided meditations, and start, you know, serving as much as I can. I want to be of service as much as I possibly can to help heal other souls.
Nah, no doubt. Quick, I'm gonna just shamelessly plug this. If you need somebody to, do a little Morgan Freeman
Yeah,
voiceover for your album, holla at me.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
all I'm
yeah,
just leave.
yeah. All right.
I'm gonna just
Wait,
leave.
so are you going to be singing, or you're going to be like talking on it?
No, I'm just talking, right?
Gotcha.
I'm just talking it out at a slow pace, right? Um, you know, I'm just guiding you through a journey, right? Telling you a
Yeah,
story,
gotcha.
getting you, getting you in that state of mind to
Yeah,
relax.
I think you'd be good at doing some narrations for like audiobooks.
Yeah, I want to
Just
tap
like
into that. I'm
that'd be
definitely
dope.
want to shamelessly plug myself, tap into that space too, right? So whoever's listening to this, you hear the voice.
Yeah, definitely. All right, you ready for some fun questions?
Yeah, fire off.
All right, what's your favorite song right now?
Favorite song right now, probably Kid, the remix with Justin Bieber and Tim's.
All right.
Essence. Time is of the essence. I mean, I feel like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that it speaks
that's
for
my
itself.
jam. Yeah, that's my jam.
Uh, if you could do a jersey swap right now, who would you swap with?
I swap with Hopkins.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
swap with Hopkins. D Hop. I got a lot
You
of
s-
respect for his game.
you think he's the best right now?
That is, yes. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Yes, I think he's the best right now.
All right, last one. What do you like to do in your free time?
Uh, I mean, I got a couple things. I like, you know, mindfulness activities. Like, I really got back into to like adult coloring books during
All right.
pandemic, right? Like that's so like peaceful and takes my mind off of things, right? I get to express myself that way creatively, and then um, I like writing poetry.
Yeah, yeah, that's dope. Well, I definitely appreciate you because I know previously nobody knows this, but you told us that you were late and you pulled over to Barnes and Noble to do the interview. So I definitely
Yeah,
want to shout you out for that. We definitely
for
appreciate you
sure,
doing
Yeah.
that.
for
No doubt.
sure.
Could you could you let the listeners know where they can follow you at in your brand?
Definitely, man. So y'all can follow the brand. The website is www.soulcodethebrand.com. And then on IG, y'all can follow me at B underscore code 16. IG would let me change my name, so I gotta stick with that. You feel me? Yeah, it is what it is.
I feel you,
No doubt.
but
Appreciate you taking some
appreciate it.
time, man.
I appreciate y'all, man. Much love.